So this is a continuation of our discussion for the mock paper 4 set 2. As you can see, first I'll explain the circuit here. You can see a figure 6.1 contain two identical cell 1.5. So this is 1.5 and this is 1.5. What will be the total? The combined will also be 1.5. When the cells are connected in parallel, the combined is equals to the value of individual. But let's say, just another example, let's say one of the cell was 1.5 and another one was 3. Then what will be the combine here? The combine will be 3. So in parallel, when cells are connected in parallel, the combined voltage is equals to the voltage of the individual, the maximum voltage of individual. So if I was having a 2 volts and 2 volts, so what is the combined? It will be 2. But if I was having a 4 volts, if I was having a 4 volts and 2 volts, so what is the combined? The combined will be 4, the maximum value in parallel. But if they were connected in series, like if I was having two cells of each of 1.5 volts and 1.5, so if they're connected in series, so I will add them as they want to transfer energy in the same direction. But if they're connected other way around, in series but connected other way around, so this is 1.5, this is also 1.5, so they try to cancel out the effect of each other, so we'll have a 0 volts in that case. So in this case, each cell, each identical cells are there, each of EMF 1.5, so this is 1.5, this is also 1.5. So what will be the combined? The combined will also be 1.5. And the current which is passing through the circuit, the ammeter 1 read 0.20. If ammeter 1 read 0.20, how much current ammeter 2 will read? Yeah, this is a series circuit. How much current ammeter 2 will read? What will be the current for ammeter 2? So it will be the same current because the current is same. So this will also read 0.20 ampere. So each component 0.20 ampere is a current that will flow. Now, why the reading on ammeter 2 is 0.2 ampere? What is the reason for that? So this is a series circuit. So series circuit current remains same throughout the circuit. So if the 0.2 ampere is entering ammeter 1, so same 0.2 ampere will leave the circuit. So the total current enter at any point is always equals to the current leaving that point, and in the series circuit the current is same. The next is the resistance is 1.5 and resistance R is 1.5 and S is 3.5. Yeah, if you write current is same, that's calculate the resistance of T. How we can work out the resistance of T? If they mention us that this is 1.5, yeah, first we can find like this is 1.5 ohm and this is 3.5 ohm. First, I need the total voltage is 1.5 and the total current is 0.2 ampere. So first, using a formula V is equals to IR, I'll find the total resistance. So total resistance will be 1.5 divided by 0.2. That will give us the combined resistance, that is 7.5. And because they are connected in series, so when I add the resistance of R, S and T, the total should be equals to 7.5 because they're connected in series. So R is 1.5, S is 2.5 and T is unknown. So this will be 4 and move other side. So it will be 7.5 minus 4. Oh, sorry, this is 3.5. So this will be 5. So then T will be equals to 2.5 ohm. So the T is equals to 2.5 ohm. And what is this T? This is a thermistor. Its resistance changes with the temperature, high temperature. So explain the temperature of a T increase. Why the potential across T decreases? So the temperature of the T increases. It's a thermistor. For a thermistor, if we increase the temperature, what will happen to resistance of the thermistor? Resistance of a thermistor will decrease. As the resistance of the thermistor will decrease, the potential difference or a voltage across the thermistor will also decrease. So how you score the marks here? You will mention thermistor is a semiconductor, increase in temperature, reduce the resistance. As it reduces the resistance, so the smaller potential. As the temperature increase, the resistance of T decreases and the current in the circuit increase, so the potential. Yes, you can refer that as well. You can refer this as well about the total. But in short, as the temperature rise, the resistance of a thermistor decreases. So as the resistance of thermistor decrease in a potential divider or a series circuit, if the combined resistance, as you can see, the total voltage is same. So as the resistance decrease, the potential across the thermistor will also decrease. Here, this is a AC generator we have discussed in the set 1 as well. As you can see, slip rings, carbon brushes, permanent magnet. State the name of the component label P. So what we call P. P is not a carbon brush. P is a carbon brush. Q is a slip ring, right? Yeah, this is a carbon brush and this is slip rings. And what will happen when we rotate the coil, there will be a change in magnetic field that induces EMF. When a generator is producing electrical output, the temperature inversely proportional. So when the temperature increase, then the potential. Yeah, but you have to use a very important term. You miss thermistor. You have to say it happened for thermistor. This is fine, but include the term thermistor as well. When a generator is producing an electrical output, P is stationary and Q is rotating. Explain the purpose of P and Q. What is the purpose of the P and Q? This you have to memorize this answer, the structure of this answer. Can you solve its third part? Which third part? If you have a question, you can send it on WhatsApp just after discussion. I will answer your question as well. Just send it on WhatsApp. So what is the purpose of the P and Q, the split rings and the carbon brushes? So main purpose of the P is to connect the circuit to the wires. Like the question P is fixed. So what is the purpose? Why P is fixed? So that there will remain a connection between the circuit, the external circuit, the output terminal, and the internal circuit, the slip rings. What is the answer for first? Answer for first one, P is called carbon brush and Q is called slip ring. What is the purpose of the carbon brush? Carbon brushes are providing. You don't have to write this answer. You have to write there at the bottom, but I'm writing it here. Like after writing carbon brush and slip rings, that is fine. But what is the purpose of the carbon brush? Carbon brushes are actually providing a contact between the slip rings and the terminals, output terminals. Means these are the carbon brushes. So there will be connection between the split rings and the carbon output terminals. That's why the carbon brushes are there and they remain stationary. But this part continuously, the slip rings move, rotate. So what is the purpose of the slip rings or the rotation of the slip rings? So the rotation of a slip rings produce a continuous change in the magnetic field, or the rotation of the coil or the brushes provide a continuous change in the magnetic field which induces EMF. So the answer here, Q is continuously rotating So the magnetic field change induces EMF. Where P provide a connection between the slip rings and output terminals. So P is actually, the carbon brushes are providing a connection between them, and Q is continuously rotating. So there's a change in magnetic field and we'll have an induced EMF. Is it clear? This one, the purpose of the P and Q in the AC generator?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can I say Q is used to provide a way of a current to flow out, and P is used to complete the circuit? Q is used to provide a way of current. No, the answer, distribution of the answer is mainly like connection is there, connecting the output terminal with the carbon brushes. That is the purpose of the P. And the Q is actually rotation produces induced EMF. Because if Q was not rotating, the coil will not rotate. So there will be no induced EMF. Learn this answer for especially the purpose of a carbon brush and a slip rings for AC generator, and a purpose of a split ring and the carbon brushes for a DC motor. The output of a generator is connected to an oscilloscope. On oscilloscope, the Y gain is set, means the Y axis is there. It is 5 volts per centimeter, means one height is equals to 5 volts. And the time base is set, the x-axis, the time base is 2 millisecond per second per centimeter, means one box is representing 2 millisecond. Yeah, Y gain is on y-axis and time base is on x-axis. Write a letter X on a trace shown the indicate one point when the coil is vertical. When the coil is vertical, it should have a maximum induced EMF. So, vertical, it will have a zero induced EMF. Because horizontal maximum, vertical zero. So I can mark here, or I can mark here, or I can mark these points. Any one of them I can mark, because when it is vertical, the induced EMF is zero. Then on a figure, determine the maximum value of the induced EMF. Maximum, we'll take the x-axis, the height, y-axis, the vertical height. So 1 box, 2, 3, it looks 3.5 boxes. So 5 volts is equals to 1 centimeter. So if we have 3.5 centimeter or 3.5 boxes are there, so how much is voltage X? We just cross multiply. So 5 into 3.5. 5 into 3.5 will be there. So 7 multiplied by, so 17.5 volts. 18 is a rounded off answer. So just take a half of it, and there are further lines are there. So exactly, yeah, because there further division is there. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions. So each is 0.2. So yes, this will be 3.6. 3.6 boxes. So in that case, yes, the 3.6 will be 18. When you take the 3.6, you will get 18. Because if you check the values, there are further divisions are there on the y-axis. Look, we need the voltage produced, the Y gain. According to y-axis, the 5 volts equal to 1 centimeter, means one box is 5 volts. So what is the number here? This is 1, 2, 3, and there are further lines. This is 3.2, 3.4, 3.6. So this value is 3.6 centimeter, because one box is 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, 3, and then 5 lines are there. So each is 0.2, 3.2, 3.4, 3.6. So means this is 3.6 centimeter. According to the Y, 5 volts is equals to 1 centimeter. So if we have 3.6 centimeters, how much is a voltage X cross multiply? So 5 multiplied by 3.6, you will get 18 volts as a answer. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Because we need the maximum voltage, so we take the height. Yes, Arham, is it clear? Look, I will repeat again. If you read the question, they mention on the oscilloscope, the Y gain is set 5 volts per centimeter. Means 1 centimeter on Y-axis equals to 5 volt. So this one box is 1 centimeter. So we want the maximum voltage. You can take the vertical like height, or you can take the depth. So now measure how much in centimeter is this. This is one box, so which is 1 centimeter. This is another box, so another 1 centimeter, total 2 centimeter. This is another box, 1 centimeter, so total 3 centimeter. And what is this height? It is third line above, so means this is 0.6. Because 0.2, first line will be 0.2 here, 0.4 and 0.6. So how much is this total height? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 0.6. So how much is the total height? The total height is 3.6 centimeter. And according to a question, 1 centimeter is 5 volts. So 5 volts represent 1 centimeter. So 3.6 centimeter represent what? It will represent X volt. You cross multiply, 3.6 multiplied by 5, you will get 18 volts. On a figure, determine in millisecond the time for one revolution. One revolution is from one crest to one trough or one complete cycle. Like it's up to you. If I take this as one cycle, so how many, and what is the x-axis? X-axis is 2 millisecond. The time base second setting is 2 milliseconds per centimeter. Means one box is equals to 2 milliseconds. So this is one box, which is 2. Then 2 boxes, 3 boxes, 4. So means how many in centimeter? Four boxes are there. So it means 2 milliseconds were equal to 1 centimeter, one box. How many box in one cycle will cover 4 boxes of 4 centimeter? So how much is this? X cross multiply. So we get 4 multiplied by 2, 8 millisecond. So the time taken for a one cycle is equals to 8 millisecond. And the voltage produced in the one peak, that is equals to 18 volts. The next we need the frequency. After knowing the time period, which is 8 millisecond, we need the frequency. Frequency is a reciprocal of the time period. So 1 over 8 millisecond, milli means 10 power minus 3. So 1 divided by 8 exponent minus 3. What's the answer for this? 1 divided by 0.008. 1 divided by 0.008. It cannot be in points. 130, because 1 is greater than this number, so definitely it will be more than 1. It will be 130 hertz. In question 8, uranium isotope, which is 235, that is used in a fuel. How did we get 8 milliseconds? Time for one revolution or time for one complete rotation. We work out that time, how we work out that time. as they mentioned, the time base is 2 millisecond per centimeter. Means one box is representing 2 millisecond. What is one cycle? You can take from one crest to another, or one trough to another, or one complete wave. Like if I take from one crest to another crest. So how many boxes it cover? 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. And each box is 2 milliseconds. So how much time is there completing from one crest to another? So that is equals to 8 millisecond. And then from a 8 millisecond, we work out the frequency. Uranium 235 is the isotope which is used in a power stations. State how neutral atom of a uranium differ from a neutral atom of 38. And what is the difference between a uranium 38 and 35? So they will have a different number of neutrons. Yeah, uranium 35 will have 3 less neutrons. It will have more neutron. Uranium 38 will have 3 more neutron. So we have to state in terms of the atom. So less stable. Instead of saying the stability, you have to use the term number of the particles. If you say uranium 238 has 3 more neutron, or you say uranium 235 has 3 less neutron, you'll score the mark. No need to refer the stability here. So how the question is uranium 235 is different from 238. It's the same element, but what is the difference? Uranium 235 has less neutron as compared to uranium 238. If you say they are radioactive, but the question is in terms of the neutral atom comparison is there. So no need to use the term radioactivity, use the term number of the neutrons. So 235 is having fewer neutrons or less neutrons as compared to 238. In a reactor nuclear power station, 235 absorbs a slow moving neutron and undergoes a fission. State what happened to a nucleus of an atom during a fission. So what happened in a fission? In a fission, the heavy nucleus split into lighter. This is what happened in the nuclear fission. Yeah, heavy nucleus breakdown. Explain how a fission can lead to a chain reaction in a reactor. 4 marks. So what will happen? Look, there is one uranium and we target by a neutron. As a result, when this uranium breaks down, it produces more neutrons. These neutrons further, can we say uranium 235 absorbs slow neutron, moving it decay into simple atom? So chain reaction can cause when every time an element absorbed. Yes, you can say that as well, but the structure of the answer, first thing, what should be the structure of an answer? The uranium atom, when it is hit by a neutron, it split into a lighter nuclei, like it will split into the smaller nuclei, and it further gives out neutrons. So neutron is released by splitting of the uranium, which is absorbed by more uranium in the surrounding, because you never have one atom. So like one uranium absorb one neutron, which gives 3. These out of every 3 neutrons, each neutron is absorbed by another uranium and produce further more 3 neutrons. So how you structure this answer, you will mention that a uranium will absorb a neutron and it split out and give, like uranium absorbed 1, but it gives out 3. Like more than 1 neutron or 3 neutron. And these 3 neutrons further interact with the uranium and produces more neutron, which make a process continuous or a chain reaction. You cannot write about a fusion happen or occur. This is not a fusion, it's a fission reaction. No, there's no fusion happen. This is a fission reaction. So what it's how to score these marks, mentioning the uranium absorbed a neutron, like it absorbed 1 neutron, but it released more neutrons As a result, these neutrons which are released absorbed by more uranium and cause a chain reaction. So neutron is released by splitting of the uranium, and that releases more neutron, that how it absorb one but give out more. And these neutrons interact with the more uranium atoms and release more neutrons. That is why this happen as a chain reaction. Like one produces 3, 3 produces 9, 9 produces 27, 27 produces 81, and so on. Is it clear? So how to structure this answer? The uranium will absorb neutron and undergo nuclear fission, which cause more neutrons to be released. The neutrons interact with more uranium atoms, cause the chain reaction. So this is a structure of an answer. That uranium is there, one uranium absorb one and it undergo a fission. When it undergo a fission, it gives 3, like more neutrons. These neutron interact with more uranium and the chain reaction happen. Like one gives 3, 3, 9, 27, 81, and so on. How we can stop this chain reaction? So main purpose, what we use a control rod. If I use a control rod and I absorb or stop the neutrons, the chain reaction can be controlled. So state the purpose of a moderator in the reaction. What is the purpose of a moderator? Because a fission reaction happen, moderator is to remove the heat energy or remove the energy from the neutron to make the neutron slow. Because if a neutron is very fast, so what might happen? This neutron will pass through the uranium, the fast neutron. So we want to slow it down. To slow it down, what we use a heavy water as a moderator. So when the uranium passes through the heavy water, it slows down, and as it slows down, it can interact with the uranium and undergo a fission. So what is the purpose of the moderator? The purpose of the moderator is to slow the neutron or remove the energy. The purpose of the moderator is to slow the neutron or remove the energy from the neutron. Because if the neutron is fast, it can easily pass through the uranium without interacting. But if the neutron is slow, it will slowly move and it may interact with the uranium and undergo a fission. Explain the action of a control rod in the reactant. The purpose of the control rod is to remove neutrons. And what is the purpose of removing neutrons? So we can control the fission. Otherwise, it will be uncontrollable fission. The fission happen so much that we won't be able to control that. So purpose of a moderator is to slow down the neutron, and the control rod is to absorb the neutron so the nuclear reaction can be controlled. Otherwise, it will be uncontrollable reaction for us. We won't be able to control at all. The session will end once we finish the discussion. We'll end the session. The planet Venus orbit the sun at a constant speed, 3.4 exponent 4, and takes time TV to complete one orbit. The Venus is always 1.1 exponent 11 meter from the sun. Calculate TV. So we need the time. So orbital speed is 2 pi r divided by t. The orbital speed is equals to 2 pi r divided by t. If I need the time for the Venus, it will be 2 pi r divided by v. So 2 multiplied by 3.14 multiplied by radius, the distance which is 1.1 exponent 11 meters, and divided by the speed at which it is moving, 3.5 exponent 4. So when you divide them, you will get the time it takes, 2 exponent 7 seconds. Why it can be time is why actually it is time is distance divided by speed. 1.9 is also correct if you take a rounded exact number. So why we cannot use time is distance divided by actually it's a time is distance over speed. When object is moving in a circular path, the distance is always 2 pi r. So that's why actually it is the same formula, but for a circular motion, the distance is 2 pi r. Explain why speed is a scalar because it does not have a direction. Velocity is a vector. What happened to a velocity of a Venus as its orbit the sun? It changes. Don't copy the answer from the marking schemes. So try to write your own answers. So what happened to the velocity? Velocity changes because of a change in direction. Orbital speed in a distance. So distance decreases, speed increases, vice versa. Gravitational, so then Venus is closer, so it has a greater. But we have to say what happened to the velocity, not the speed. It will have a higher magnitude. What are the two conditions? The displacement is zero, that the object, the starting point and the final point should be same. Then in that case, the displacement is zero. So what will happen? Because there will be a change in a direction. As an object is moving in a circular path, there will be a change in direction. Due to a change in direction, there will be a change in the velocity, or velocity will continuously change. So there's a resultant force on the Venus as it orbits the sun. The force is perpendicular to direction. Why this force is needed? So force is needed to change the direction continuously. As we want to change the direction, so we need a force. Whenever object move in a circular path, we always need a force toward the center. So as we want to change the direction or change in velocity, that's why we need a force, a perpendicular force for that. The next is figure 9.1 shows the orbit of the Venus around the sun. On a figure, draw an arrow to show the direction of a resultant force. What will the direction of the resultant force? So the direction is towards the center. And what causes the force acting on the Venus? The gravitational pull of the sun that causes the force. So one mark is for mentioning gravitational force, one mark is for mentioning sun. So when you say gravitational force of the sun, actually it's 2 marks. One planet in a solar system is closer to the sun than Venus. Stay in that name of that planet, which is closer to the Venus. Mercury. And then compare the time for this planet takes to complete one orbit and explain the difference. So will it take a longer time or a shorter time if the planet is closer? Like we have a sun. So we have another planet around, which is Mercury. The question is, will it take longer time or a shorter time to orbit the sun? So that it will take less time as it is near, so it will have a shorter distance or a greater speed. So it will take, yeah, that's right. So as it is closer to the sun, so it will move at a high speed, or it will have a greater, smaller gravitational potential or greater kinetic energy. So it will move at a high speed or a smaller distance it has to cover. So it will also have a greater orbital. So one is a time. Look, it will take less time. And when we compare the orbital speed, it is 2 pi r divided by t. So when you're comparing the orbital speed, its orbital speed will also be greater. Even though this speed, the circumference is less, but the time is much shorter than the circumference, so the orbital speed will be greater. So less time you can say, or move at a higher speed, or move at a higher speed. Why? Because smaller gravitational potential or greater kinetic energy. So when the planets are closer, they have a greater kinetic and a smaller potential energies. So this was a mock chat 2. Tomorrow we'll discuss 3 and 4.